Hello, welcome to TelecomTV. We're here at Mobile World Congress 2015 here in Barcelona in Spain. And I'm talking with Mobeen, who is the AVP for Industrial Internet of Things at AT&T, and he's concerned with global products and strategy for the Internet of Things. Mobeen, welcome. We're here at the show. Every year at the show it gets bigger. Reckons to be 100,000 delegates, something like that this year, if the queues for the taxis are anything to go by. And there are different themes emerge every year. This year there seem to be several. There's big data, there's network virtualization and the intelligent network, there's SDN, there's NFV, and of course there's the Internet of Things. That's what you deal with on a daily basis. So I'd like to begin by asking you, what exactly is AT&T doing in the IoT space?
Yeah, so let me paint a picture of where we are. You talked about 50 billion, 20 billion devices. If you look at the communication industry, we started with connecting places, our homes, our offices. Then we started connecting people, you and me and our colleagues and our mothers and our fathers and our aunts and uncles. We all have mobile phones. Now we are going into the era of connected things. And things are things in our homes, things in our cars, things in our offices, things in our factories, things in our government, in our streets. So that's a much larger number than the number of humans that inhabit any piece of land. So that's where we come to 15, 20, 30, 40, $50 billion numbers, 50 billion devices numbers. It is a big deal. It is a highly growing industry, and as you can see behind me, AT&T is playing in that space in a big way. You have the connected cars here. On this side, you have the connected home, and we're showcasing that. And then behind me on the right-hand side is the connected industry and the connected enterprise. I'm going to focus a lot more on the enterprise side of things because I think it has a huge potential, as well as it's an area that I'm most familiar with.
Okay.
So from an AT&T perspective, we are looking at this as the next era of productivity in the enterprise. Enterprise that has physical assets out in the field can connect to those assets, monitor their conditions, gain that additional operational efficiency from those assets that have not been able to get because those assets are remote and they can't get to it. And now the timing is right to enable those assets with connectivity so that we can extract data, monitor them, and get more efficiencies out of them.
So what IoT products do you have out there from AT&T, particularly on the industrial side of Internet of Things?
So we look at the product set in three components, or three layers, if you will: connectivity, platforms, and solutions. In the connectivity space, we lead with what we call our global SIM offer. It's essentially a connectivity option for global companies that have assets that are deployed anywhere in the world. You turn those assets on, they start to communicate regardless of which country they're in, which region they're in, which network they connect to, because AT&T has relationships with a lot of these carriers, and we can offer all of that in a packaged form in our global SIM offer. We also allow assets to be connected through things that are non-cellular in nature. So for example, if you are a ship in sea and there's no cellular coverage, we can allow satellite access. If you're in a basement of a hospital, you can connect through Wi-Fi, and in remote areas you can connect through other means of communication. So we are connectivity agnostic, but a lot of our connectivity does happen through cellular means. Now let's go up into the platform area. In the platform area, one of the things that we're trying to address is that when people want to connect things, there are no real tools available for them to go do that. So we are offering, under the umbrella of AT&T IoT services, a set of developer tools and APIs so that the solution providers can connect these assets very quickly. So the offers we have in the market are under the umbrella AT&T IoT services called M2X, which is a time series data cloud and storage offer, as well as a flow designer, which is an ability for a solution provider to build applications with a drag and drop kind of a tool. On the solution side, we are leading with a few specific offers in the market. For example, we have a cargo view solution in supply chain tracking that allows tracking of bananas or strawberries or art, and not only the location, but also the health of the assets. What temperature are they in? Did the temperature go out of the range so that you have spoilage issues and so on? So that's very important for customers that need more than just where my asset is, but how good is that asset at any point in time. So we have solutions in supply chain tracking, insurance telematics, utilities and smart cities, and in the area of industrial asset tracking.
IoT is obviously a massive subject and a massive opportunity. Depending on which analyst you read, it is thought there will be somewhere between 20 billion, 30 billion, 50 billion connected devices by 2020. Can you give us some examples of the customers you're working with right now?
Sure. So let's look at talk about the cargo view I just mentioned. It's being used for a variety of tracking of different assets. I'll give you a couple examples. A high-end arts dealer is using to track art, and you'll say, why would I need to track art? In the past, they would actually ship the art, which is pretty expensive, with a person. Now they can ship it with a device, and that device tracks the temperature that the art had to go through, because some of the colors in paintings are sensitive to temperature. Shock, did somebody drop it? And if they did, was there damage? And at what point did they drop it? And where should I file an insurance claim and with whom? So you get all that information through that. So they're tracking it globally. When they ship art to be displayed at galleries around the world or at art auctions, they can track it using a cargo view product. And it's airline safe in the sense that it's FAA certified, so they can ship it in the belly of an aircraft. So that's one example of a customer. The name of the company is Racine Burkow, and if you go to our website, you'll find a video of Racine Burkow and how they're using it. Another example is a company using it for tracking grain shipments from farm to the warehouse to some sort of a mill. And it's important to know that the grain is within a certain temperature range. If it goes too high, that there's spoilage issues. So the CIO of the company recently came out in CIO magazine and said that they are saving a lot of money just by figuring out that the grain sitting in a certain area is getting too hot. And if they don't get it into a warehouse within a couple hours, they're going to have spoilage. So those are a couple of examples. I'll give you another example from a partner. We are partnering with General Electric Corporation on a variety of assets that they build and manufacture. One of the ones on display here is a connected meter. So think about an electric meter that gets deployed in the back of our house or on the side of the street. They are enabling it with our communications capability with certain applications. What are the applications? I can deploy a meter with a prepaid dollar amount, and if you can re-up it just like you re-up your toll, or you can shut it down when I move out of the apartment without having to send somebody there. So those are some of the examples of solutions that we are giving out in the market today.
You mentioned GE, General Electric, and what about other partners, Mobeen?
We are creating a very large ecosystem. There are several types of partners, as you can imagine, that are required. And as I talked about the three layers, the connectivity, the platforms and the solutions, and we have partners in each layers. So in connectivity, for example, we work with the large infrastructure providers like the Ericssons of the world and the Ciscos of the world and the Amdocs of the world to help us bring the main infrastructure out into the marketplace. We also work with SIM manufacturers to come out with SIM products that are primarily used like solderable SIMs for industrial internet. So there's many partners in the connectivity layer. In the platform layer, we work with companies that are targeting developers, and they're targeting cloud and data analytics into the marketplace, where we can offer those as a package offer to our customers. On the solution layers, we work with several young companies, startups as you said, who have innovative applications and solutions. So CargoView that I was mentioning, multi-sensor device, is in partnership with a company, a startup company based out of Dallas, Texas, that we are working with. So we took their core patents and their core device solutions, and we built a complete end-to-end solution using our infrastructure with that. And we're taking that to market at a single price. So the customer get the benefit of the innovation coming from startups, and they get the benefit of a scale coming from someone like an AT&T.
IoT data can be carried over wireline, wireless, Wi-Fi, and so on. Huge amount of data going across, a lot more than that ever has been before. Is this going to put additional strain on the networks that exist at the moment? And isn't it also going to put the operators and the big carriers' noses somewhat out of joint if they're going to be losing some of the revenue that would traditionally be theirs, because some of these machine-to-machine Internet of Things applications and services can be run through street poles, lighting rigs, from vehicles and that kind of thing. The industry's changing. What effect is it going to have?
Yeah, I think that the market is huge and it's growing very fast. Even just the cellular portion of the market of Internet of Things, even though it's not a very large percentage of the overall market, is growing at a very, very healthy clip. So if you look at, again, depending on which analyst you talk to, just the cellular portion of it is growing at a very large clip. Now, if you look at our solutions, even those that are deployed today, many of those solutions are deployed with other communication technologies at times. So cargo tracking, for example, is very frequently deployed with satellite. Asset tracking in remote parts like pipeline monitoring is deployed with satellite. We have Wi-Fi and some low power mesh networks that are deployed in utilities. Now, what happens in many of these architectures is at many times the backhaul is still cellular. I'll give you an example. The street light that you see behind me and the meters that you see behind me, they are all aggregating traffic through a mesh to a single pole or to a single meter, which then cellularly sends 50, 100 meters traffic back to the network through cellular. So yes, we are connecting it through non-cellular means, but cellular becomes an aggregation point for a lot of these technologies. From the strain on the network point of view, it's a classic planning that we do. We've been doing this planning for a very long time. When we started rolling out mobility, for example, people were just doing SMS. But then people started to use video with the advent of smartphones. That had a strain on the network, and we are able to plan ahead of those capacities at many times, able to absorb those growths. And we're doing the same thing on the IoT side. The difference is, in the IoT world, for most use cases, the amount of data is small, but the number of devices is large. And so that has some impact on the way the network is being architectured. From an AT&T perspective, you've probably seen announcements about how we are transforming our network, how we're turning our network into a virtualized network, and our technology teams and our network teams have talked about that at length. So I think we are well aware of those challenges, and we are ahead of the game in terms of making sure that we can address the demands on the network from IoT.
Interesting stuff. Mobeen Khan, thank you.
Thank you for coming here.